And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to make a classic American meal, one of my favorites. I cooked this for dinner the other night and I realized I had never cooked it for you. So I assume so many people know how to cook basic things, and I have assumed wrong. So today we are going to make homemade hamburgers, homemade French fries, and a delicious macaroni salad to go along the side. Now, I have a pot of boiling water, and I am going to add some salt because my water is to a rolling boil. We're going to add about a teaspoon or so of salt. You want well salted water because it really flavors the macaroni. And I have a 1 pound box of macaroni, and I'm just going to go ahead and cook it all because I find that I can always find a use for macaroni. And when it's through cooking, and I don't like it mushy, I like it about 6 or 8 minutes, and then when it's done, we're going to drain it and rinse it under cold water. The only time I ever rinse my pasta is if I'm making a macaroni salad or a pasta salad of some sort, because you do want to rinse away that starch, and it cools it down and stops the cooking process. So that's going to go for like 6 minutes or so. Now we're going to make our hamburgers. Oh, by the way, don't put the lid back on it once you've dropped your pasta in the water, because the starch will boil over and make a mess on your stove. So don't cover it once you put the pasta back in there. I have here on my stove a cast iron skillet. Now, in my world, in my mind, that is, there's only 2 ways to have hamburgers. They are either cooked in a cast iron skillet or outside on a grill. There is nothing like a cast iron skillet to get that crust on a burger. So I have one here, and I'm going to go ahead and start preheating it, because it takes just a minute for that iron to come up to temperature. Be very careful. If you'll notice, well, I don't know if you can see it, but I have one of these. This is a little pot holder that goes over the handle of a cast iron. Anytime I'm using cast iron, I put this on there, because one time, many years ago, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was at home and I was baking cornbread, and I reached into the oven and put my bare hand on that handle, and I slept with an ice pack 24/7 in my hand for like 3 days. It burned so desperately bad. So please be careful with your cast iron and use this little handle, because this gets hot. So I just keep that on there as a reminder. And you can get these anywhere. You can get them at any place that sells pots and pans, sell those little cast iron handle covers, and they're wonderful little things. So I'm bringing that up to temperature. It's going to get nice and hot for us. Now this is how my family likes burgers. I have in my pan here, this is one of those big packs of ground chuck. It's about 3 pounds, which will make about 6 burgers. You use however much you need. I count on about 1/4 pound for a burger. Now my family likes, well, half my family, but this is the way I'm making them today on the program. Half of us like onions, half of us don't in our burger, but I do, and so we're going to make onion burgers. I take a medium onion, and I probably will only, well, no, I've got a lot of burger. We'll see how it looks. You want to mince it very, very fine, because we're going to be frying these burgers. And the onion is not going to be in there that long, but you don't want it to taste raw. So you do want to make sure that you mince it very fine. If you have a food processor, you can do this in a food processor. Tuck those fingers back because you don't want to cut your fingers. But just mince it. And if you don't think you've got your pieces small enough, What you can do is just go over them with your knife and chop them even finer, or you can do it in a food processor. But onions in a burger, and be prepared to cry like I am right now, my eyes are watering. Onions in burgers are delicious, and it adds moisture and flavor, and I like it simple. I just like a little bit of grated onion. You could also run this over a box grater if you wanted to even get it finer. This is a strong onion. My eyes are watering. Whew. But we're going to put a small onion in there. This is kind of a small, I guess. Room enough. I like a lot of onion. Get it chopped. I have one of those onion choppers somewhere up here. I need to get that out when I'm doing onions, because I am crying. Whew. Strong. Back when I wore contacts, I could chop onions all day long, and it didn't matter. But I don't wear them anymore, and the onions make me cry. So to this, we are going to add some Worcestershire sauce. A couple of tablespoons, however much you like. This is just a method. There's no exact formula for it. If you like the flavor of Worcestershire, then add more. It's one of those ingredients. There's a new, I guess you could call it a buzzword in the food world today, of a flavor called umami. You might have heard that word. It's flavor compounds that you can't really, like sweet, salty, you can't put your taste buds on it, but it adds a tremendous amount of flavor. And Worcestershire and soy are two of those ingredients. Mushrooms actually are one of those ingredients too. Add about a teaspoon of salt and some ground pepper, and then mix it up lightly. Don't pack it in there too heavy, because you don't want hockey pucks. You want to have a good hamburger. My children would eat burgers every day if I would make them. They love hamburgers, and we do too. Mike and I both love burgers. Now what I do is I take a little bit of the hamburger mixture, I patty it out. I don't like my burgers really, really thick. My eyes are still watering. I patty it out, and then I take my finger and I make a depression in the center. And what that does is, as the burger cooks and shrinks, it fills that in, and you don't have that dome on top of your homemade hamburgers. So that's how I patty them out. I'm going to take a quick break and just patty these out. When I come back, we're going to fry them and start on our macaroni salad. I'll be back in just a second. Hey, and welcome back. Now let's take a quick peek at our burgers. I've just put them in my skillet. No fat, nothing, because the ground chuck has some fat in it, so it will render out. Let's see if they're ready to be turned. Love. Oh, look at that golden. You see that golden, crispy, yummy? That's what you want on your burgers. At home, I have my grandmother's cast iron skillet, and it is as slick as a ribbon, let me tell you. And I can remember when I was a little girl, her frying burgers in that very skillet, cheeseburgers. Turn those over, and that's what you want. You want that golden crust. Now remember, your cast iron is hot, so you might need to adjust the heat a little bit, because it retains heat better than any pot out there. I have a pot of water, or a pot on my stove, with enough vegetable oil to come up about 2 inches in it. It depends on your pot. You want to have about 2 inches. That's coming up to temperature. But while we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and cut up our vegetables for our macaroni. Now, macaroni is done, and it is drained, and it is rinsed. And I'm cutting up some celery, about 3 stalks of celery, in some bite-sized pieces. Just some little bitty chunks, and I love celery. It's one of my favorites. I think it's one of those vegetables you either love or hate. And I love it. And I find anywhere I can to put it in my recipes. Just 2 or 3 stalks, whatever you like. If you have red pepper, use a red pepper. But you know what? Oddly enough, in my grocery store this morning when I was shopping, they had no red peppers. Do not know where they were. They did not have any. So I just bought a green pepper because I like green pepper in my macaroni salad, and I make another recipe of macaroni salad that has green pepper in it. So if you can't find a red pepper, or maybe they're a little bit too pricey that day, just use a green pepper. And I'm just using half, and again, cutting it into small bite-sized pieces. And remember with your green pepper to cut, or any pepper, not just green, but any of your bell peppers, to cut from the inside out. It's a whole lot easier to cut these peppers than cutting through that waxy coating on the outside. My husband sharpened my knives for me, and boy, can I tell a big difference. And that's a big point to bring out. Make sure your knives are good and sharp, because they will really make a big difference. Look how that just goes through that like butter. It's wonderful to have a good sharp knife. Here's my little scooper. My oil is getting good and hot. Now I cheated this morning and just bought a bag of shredded up carrots. I want about half this bag, but you can shred up your own if you want it. But just for time's sake for the program, I just bought some pre-shredded carrots. I'm going to add some fresh dill. You can buy it in the produce department if it's not the season for you to grow it. I do grow it in the wintertime, or in the summertime, excuse me, but it's not season. My herb garden is pretty much gone except for rosemary, so we just buy it. Dill is fabulous in potato salads and in macaroni salads. You don't really want those stems. About 2 tablespoons or teaspoons, because it's a strong herb. And I happen to love it. I'm going to put that in my dressing. So I'm going to put it in the bowl that I'm going to make the dressing in. This is one of those salads that you can custom blend your additions. In my case, I'm putting the celery and the carrots and the green pepper, but maybe you want to add some radishes or hard-boiled eggs. Feel free to do that. You want to have about 1/3 of a cup of mayonnaise or so. I don't like my macaroni salads to be swimming in dressing. I really just don't. I like them to be a little more clean flavored. So I don't use a whole lot of mayonnaise, but if you like more mayonnaise, feel free to put it in. I'm also going to add the juice of a lemon. Now I'm not going to add the zest in this case. I'm squeezing it over my fingers to catch the little seeds, because I don't have a strainer, but I have fingers, and that works just as good. This one doesn't seem to have any seeds in it. So the juice of a lemon, or about a couple teaspoons or so. Add a little bit of tang to it. 1 cup of frozen peas that you have thawed for flavor and fiber. Little bit of salt, about a teaspoon. This is a 1/2 teaspoon measure, so I'm going to add about a teaspoon, about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Whisk that together, and that's your dressing. That simple. And we're going to pour that over our macaroni and our vegetables. This needs to chill for a couple of hours. This would be a great salad dressing too. You could make that, maybe add a little buttermilk to thin it out just a tiny bit, and put it over a wedge of iceberg lettuce for that traditional little iceberg salad would be great. Here's our macaroni. We're not going to combine it right yet. We're going to get ready to put our potatoes down in our oil. Now, I really like homemade French fries, and I bet so many of you have never made them. Let's test our oil. Remember our little tip, putting our wooden spoon down in there, and see the bubbles are rising really, really fast around it. That tells me that it's hot. If you have a thermometer, you will want it to be about 350, 375 degrees. I'm not peeling my potatoes because I want them to have the peel on them. I like the peeling on them, but if you don't, you feel free to cut the peel off, peel them. Cut them in small little planks, just like this. You want to get them all about the same size so they fry evenly. Cut them in little planks, just like this, and then turn them sideways and cut them again. Oops, a little slick there. Be careful with your knives. You want them to be about like that, like little shoestrings. I'm just going to take a quick break and keep cutting up my potatoes, and when I come back, we're going to drop them in the oil. We're going to finish our burgers and put our macaroni salad together, then we're going to eat. We'll be back in just a minute. Hey, and welcome back. Now, we've dropped our potatoes down in this hot oil. There's a couple of little hints here. Do not, and I mean do not, overcrowd that pan. Do it in 2 batches, or what will happen is your potatoes will never turn golden if you have too many in there. So just have a few in there and let them go, and then they'll go from white to brown pretty quickly, so you got to keep an eye on them. Now let's check our burgers. I believe they're probably about done. Let's see. Yeah, they look yummy. You don't want any red to remain in your burgers. And don't do what some people, I see so many people do this. Oh, that one's mine with that golden crust on there. Don't take your spatula and press down. All you're doing is making your hamburgers very, very dry. So those are done. Turn that off. Let those cool. Our potatoes are cooking. I had to transfer to a bigger bowl because I did not have a big enough bowl for all of this macaroni. So there's our macaroni, drained and cooled, mixed with our celery and our peas and our carrots and all of the other things. Now we're going to add our dressing. And we're going to stir to combine. Again, I really do not like a lot of mayonnaise, but if you like a lot more mayonnaise, then you add more. That's up to you. I just like a tiny little thin coating of mayonnaise on my macaroni salad. And this is plenty enough for my taste buds, but again, if you like more, you make more. Always taste your salads for seasoning. You might need to add more salt or pepper. Stir it up really good. And then taste it for seasoning. Let me grab a fork here. And see if you need to add any more salt or pepper or whatever else. Nope. Perfect. Let it set in the refrigerator for a couple of hours. Perfect make-ahead dish, because you can make it in the morning, let it set in the refrigerator, and there you go. By the time it's time for your dinner, your salad's done. That'll keep a couple of days in the refrigerator too. Now, I'm going to tell you what I do. When my potatoes get about like this, I take them out. They're not done. And I parboil them or par fry them. Take them out and let them cool for just a couple of minutes. And I don't understand the science behind it, but it works. And then I drop them back down in that hot grease. and they get so crispy and golden and yummy. So take them out when they're about like this. They're soft, and the potato itself is cooked through, but you do not have that golden crispy outer coating. Let them cool for just a minute, and then we're going to put them back down in that grease. Don't turn that down. Let's get our burger together, because once they do that, they only take a minute. I like my hamburgers, just me. I like lettuce, ketchup, and pickles, but you like whatever you like. So you make your burger with what you like on it. So I'm not going to dress this in any way, but by all means, you add tomato or lettuce and ketchup, mayonnaise, whatever you like on your burger. Mustard, you do whatever you like. And then put some of your macaroni salad on there. And then we'll drop our fries back in. Be careful. Please be careful with this. It's very hot. And that's how I do my French fries when I'm making homemade fries. Spread them out, and they'll just get nice and golden brown. All right, now we're just taking our potatoes out of the oil and putting them on a paper towel lined sheet. Remember, I said you do these in batches and cook more than you think you need, because I promise you, your family's going to want to eat them. Now I've cut up the rest of my potatoes, and I'm just gonna drop them down in the oil. Remember to be very careful doing this, because that's hot. Hot, hot, hot. While those cooked potatoes are hot, let me get the rest of these in there. Sprinkle them with a little bit of salt. Let me stir these around. This is batch 2. Let them go. Sprinkle it with some fresh kosher salt there. Oh, so good. So addicting. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Once you have homemade French fries, you are never going to want those from those fast food restaurants again. There is a big, big, big difference. Perfect accompaniment to your hamburgers and that wonderful macaroni salad. Just a little more. I like salty French fries. That's the one thing that I do like, that's salt, with a lot of salt on it. But there's you a wonderful little meal. You've got your hamburgers that we just made in a cast iron skillet with some grated onion, Worcestershire sauce, salt, and pepper. Very simple, but very, very good. I serve them with lettuce, and then have different things out there, mayonnaise and tomato and pickles or mustard or whatever your family likes, sliced raw onion. Then our delicious macaroni salad that we made with some frozen peas that we thawed, some shredded up carrots, some celery, some diced up celery, and some macaroni that we cooked, and we drained and rinsed it with cold water. We made a dressing simply with mayonnaise and some lemon juice and some fresh chopped dill. That is best if it's chilled for a couple of hours. And then our homemade French fries. So easy and so good, and your family is going to love them. And I promise you, you need to make more than you think you're going to eat, because they will get eaten up. There's a simple, easy meal. To make it completely retro, I would serve it with an ice cream float with some vanilla ice cream with a root beer. You know how you do that? You just put some scoops of vanilla ice cream down in a glass and pour some root beer over it. It's delicious. It would make the final perfect touch to an everyday American classic that you can make in your home for your family. Thank you for joining with me, and I will see you next time on Everyday Manna.
Thank you for watching Everyday Manna with Lisa. This program is made possible by viewers like you. Your support is continually needed to keep Christian programming on the air. Please send your best financial gift to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Manna. P.O. Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia 24212.